Should we be concerned about Brayan Bello after his tough start against the Padres?
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Maljanian, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast as well. And I'm here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite podcast feed. And the best part, it's all completely free. So make sure that you turn in because Locked On is here for you every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. I'll tell you a lot more about FanDuel a little bit later on today's show, but I would say happy Monday. Not exactly a super happy Monday. The Red Sox did have a tough series over the weekend against the Padres, in which the Padres bullpen really gave them some trouble. So not exactly the result that we actually wanted out of this series. Going to be talking a little bit more about that on today's show. What went wrong for Brayan Bello in his outing, plus the Red Sox catching situation and a special pitching prospect who made his AAA debut for Boston. So Brayan Bello has certainly been a bright spot for the Boston Red Sox over the last couple months. He started the season on the injured list. After he recovered, he was able to rehab with the AAA Woo Sox for a bit. Then he came back to the major league team. And outside of a couple starts, he has truly been a dominant force for this Boston Red Sox rotation. And one big difference that's been noticeable with Brayan Bello compared to what we've seen from him in the past was his ability to pitch deep into games. In the past, his pitch count would increase earlier on in games and he would have problems with walking guys and then he wouldn't be able to go that deep into the game. But now this season, he's been able to be a lot more effective, able to control his pitches a little bit better and cut down on the walks. And he has been able to be a true number two starter for a Boston Red Sox team that really needs that reliable number two and number three to go behind Garrett Crochet. Things for Brayan Bello, although they generally have been going well, did not exactly go well in his most recent start as he pitched in the series finale against the San Diego Padres when the Red Sox fell 6-2 in that game. He threw 5.2 innings, giving up 6 hits and 5 earned runs with 3 walks and 7 strikeouts. He threw 106 pitches with just 65 of those going for strikes, and his ERA is now at a 3.25. So the walks were definitely a bit of an issue, and throwing strikes was a bit of an issue relative to what we've gotten used to seeing from him. He struggled to find that command in this game, so it wasn't exactly the ideal start for him. He allowed more than 3 earned runs for the first time in 15 starts and is now 8-6 on the season. The 26-year-old, although he surrendered only 6 hits, they often came in bunches and resulted in a handful of runs. On the bright side, though, Sunday's start was his first with more than 5 strikeouts since July 8th. On the year, besides the 3.25 ERA, he also has a 95-45 strikeout to walk ratio across 121.2 innings. So overall, the walks haven't been as much of an issue as a lot of people anticipated from him. He's tentatively scheduled to face the Marlins for his next start. Obviously not the best start that we've seen from him, and that was a little bit disappointing. The Red Sox were definitely hoping to get a little bit more length because of the fact that he failed to complete 6 innings. He walked the final 2 batters that he faced and left the game with the bases loaded. He ended up being charged with 5 earned runs as the Red Sox took the loss. Although he failed to complete 6 innings in the game, he did take a major step forward with one pitch in particular, which was notably his changeup. Entering yesterday's game, he had used his changeup about 15% of the time, which is the lowest rate of his career. His 16.2% swinging strike rate is also a career low for Bello. On Sunday, though, he used his slow ball 13 times and generated 6 whiffs on 6 swings, which is a 46% swinging strike rate. That rate is sustainable, but it was the most whiffs and the highest swinging strike rate he has had in a game this season. That pitch was also commanded really well, landing almost exclusively low into the arm side. He also managed to throw the ball 2 miles per hour slower than his season average. His changeup ended up averaging 89 miles per hour entering the game, while his 13 thrown on Sunday averaged 87 miles per hour. So it's definitely a pitch that he was able to show improvement with. An issue with the start was that his fastball velocity was also down slightly, though the velocity difference between his fastball and changeup was the best it's been this season. By creating more of that separation between those pitches, it becomes more difficult for hitters to adjust when they're essentially fooled by the offering. Bello's strikeout rate entering the game was a career low 18%. He's pitched well for the team this season, but still lacks the ability to consistently put hitters away. He struck out 7 in the game yesterday, 4 of which came on that changeup. So if he can continue to execute as he did yesterday, he should see his strikeout rate increase. So that's a positive, and that's something that we could take away from this outing as something that could be a huge game changer for Bello moving forward, is improving on that strikeout rate, because over the course of his career, he's never been a huge swing and miss type of pitcher. He does generate a lot of weak contact on the ground ball, but the strikeouts were never really there for him. So even though he walked 3 batters, including the last 2 that he faced, and he wasn't able to pitch as deep as the Red Sox wanted him to, because he didn't have his absolute best stuff, we can look at this start and say, wow, if he can continue to improve on that changeup, he's going to be an even more dangerous pitcher. And the reason why I am not concerned about Brayan Bello after his start was that he was facing a really tough Padres offense. Every pitcher has rough outings. No pitcher is perfect. Even the best pitchers in the league have really bad outings. Even Garrett Crochet has really bad outings sometimes. So every pitcher deserves some grace when it comes to the fact that they're not going to be perfect and on point every time they step foot on the mound. But what I am looking forward to is seeing Brayan Bello continue to work that changeup in more, because if it's a pitch that he's developing more confidence in, it's going to allow him to continue to elevate his game and continue to allow him to be a serious threat in the Red Sox rotation. He uses a sinker 35% of the time, a sweeper 21% of the time, a four-seam fastball 17% of the time, that changeup 15% of the time, a cutter that he uses 11% of the time, and a slider that he uses very rarely at 1% of the time. So essentially has a 6-pitch arsenal, which is very strong for a major league player. And if you have 6 pitches that you can go to, that is going to be nearly impossible for hitters to be able to figure you out very easily. And the changeup was a pitch that wasn't necessarily there as much as his other pitches in terms of his ability to throw it effectively. So now with the fact that he's showing glimpses of being able to throw that pitch more effectively, it's going to help his game moving forward. So yes, he didn't have his best outing, but having more strikeouts than we're used to seeing from him and being able to develop that changeup even more are positive takeaways from the game that could have you saying, okay, Brayan Bello's using a different approach here, and maybe he just has to get used to that approach moving forward, and he could have been in his head about it, which is why he didn't have as good of an outing on Sunday. I am more than confident that Brayan Bello will bounce back, and having that 6th pitch in his arsenal is going to work wonders for him. He's in the 79th percentile in terms of average exit velocity because he doesn't allow a ton of hard contact. He's also in the 77th percentile for hard hit percentage and 82nd percentile for ground ball percentage. So he is a pitcher who generates more ground balls than a lot of other pitchers do, and he prevents hitters from making a lot of hard contact with the ball. So He needs to work on his strikeout and walk rate. Strikeout percentage is in the 21st percentile, which is very poor. Walk percentage is in the 41st percentile, so below average. So that's definitely something that he needs to keep in mind in terms of how he can continue to get better, is cutting down more on the walks and being able to throw swing and miss stuff more. And if he's able to continue to develop that changeup, he could get a lot more swings and misses from guys. And if he has a pitch like that hitters can't really figure out, maybe that's his put away pitch. Maybe that becomes the pitch where he says, okay, I have to throw a strike right here. The bases are loaded. There's traffic. I cannot give up a run because we are up by 1 run right now and I need to conserve this lead. What pitch am I throwing? That changeup, while it may not be that pitch right now, could down the road end up being that pitch if he continues to work with it. And he got a lot of swings and misses on it in yesterday's game. So definitely keep that in mind. I'm not super concerned about Bello. He will bounce back for sure. Coming up, though, what's going on with the Red Sox catching situation? That's next. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. Essentially, it's comfortable attire where you can rep your team's colors without having the big logo on it. My husband has golf gloves from Game Day Hue that he brings on the course every time he golfs, and it really helps with his grip of his clubs, and he's riding in style. I also have a shirt from them that has the Red Sox colors on it without having to worry about the distraction of the logo. It is so great. Right now, you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now is the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. So the Boston Red Sox had a tough series against the San Diego Padres on the road. They dropped 2 of 3. Brayan Bello took a loss in Game 3 of the series when the Red Sox fell 6-2, but I'm not overly concerned about him. Just not exactly his day. Wasn't exactly throwing strikes as much as he should have been, but positive takeaways from the start, meaning more strikeouts and utilizing his changeup, which looked like a really strong pitch yesterday, are signs that he is still going to be reliable for the Red Sox, and this was just not the best start for him. And the positive takeaways being things about his game that he had struggled with previously is a very good sign. So we'll see how he bounces back. Hopefully he bounces back soon. But speaking of bounces back, Carlos Narváez has been sidelined for the Boston Red Sox, and it's upsetting because he has made himself into the number 1 starting catcher for this Red Sox team because of how effective he has been. And he has faced a knee injury that has kept him mostly sidelined since Tuesday. He did make an appearance in the Red Sox game yesterday against the Padres. Connor Wong was doing the catching and went 0 for 2 with a strikeout. He's now at a 164 average with a 238 on base percentage and 190 slugging. So he has had a struggling season, but he has had to play in the last few games because of the fact that Narváez really couldn't. But Narváez did come in to catch, didn't take any at-bats on Sunday, but Abraham Toro was brought in for Wong as a pinch hitter, and then Narváez came in behind the plate. So he did make a little bit of an appearance, but because his knee was bothering him, he hadn't played in a bit. So because of that, the Red Sox had to find a way to figure out how to go about the catching situation. And Connor Wong in the Red Sox Friday night win drove in more runs with 1 swing than he had recorded all season. He actually ripped a bases clearing 3-run double against Padres reliever Sean Reynolds during the 8th inning of the Red Sox 10-2 win at Petco Park. He entered that at bat with just 2 RBIs all year. So that was a massive hit for him. And the fact that he has been struggling makes it even more difficult that Carlos Narváez has been out, because it just means more Connor Wong catching, and he hasn't really fully been able to click. But that big hit snapped his 0 for 30 streak with runners in scoring position. He admitted it too. He said, obviously it's been a struggle, so it's just really being able to enjoy that one, try and build off of it. So he was feeling really good about coming through with that big hit. That performance does come at a crucial time for the Red Sox, given their current situation with the catching. And most likely Narváez will be back fully today. It's a good sign that he was able to come into the game and catch on Sunday. So he'll likely be back in the starting lineup, which will be really key for the Red Sox. So they did end up acquiring some catching depth on Friday, not knowing what the current situation was going to be. They claimed catcher Ali Sanchez off waivers from the Toronto Blue Jays, who had DFA'd him. And with the uncertainty surrounding Carlos Narváez, that is exactly why the Red Sox picked up a catcher, because they said, hey, we better have a plan here when it comes to the catching situation. He's out of minor league options while Connor Wong still has one remaining, meaning he can be optioned to AAA Worcester. Alex Cora did say about Connor Wong, he's been playing well for a while. He's not getting results, but he's swinging the bat well, taking his walks, hitting the ball hard. Connor Wong was asked if he feels like he's competing for a spot on the 26-man roster following the addition of Sanchez. He said, I'm really just focused on trying to win baseball games. So yeah, just trying to win and see what happens. So he's obviously not trying to put too much effort or focus on the possibilities of what could happen. The 29-year-old led the Red Sox in starts behind the plate in both 2023 and 24, but he ended up losing the starting job to Narváez early this season while on the IL. After starting 7 of Boston's first 11 games, he fractured his left pinky finger and missed time from April 8th to May 2nd. Alex Cora had said he was supposed to be the everyday catcher. He got hurt, and then Narváez took the baton and ran with it. But now Narváez is a little bit banged up, and he's going to play a little bit more. Wong went 2 for 5 on Friday after going 1 for 3 on Wednesday against the Orioles. And then in Saturday's game, when the Red Sox fell 5-4 in extra innings, he went 0 for 3 in that game. So another cold night at the plate for him. Alex Cora said the more he plays, the better he's going to be. And this week, he's played 4 games, and you can see the results. Wong said playing more often helps his timing at the plate. I mean, no kidding. If you play less, you're not going to get any better. He said it definitely helps in terms of timing. You don't want anyone to get hurt or injured, and I really feel for Narváez because I know what it's like and just hoping he can stay positive and be okay. Alex Cora did add that the quality of Connor Wong's at-bats has been much better of late. Alex Cora said not striking out. He hit the ball in the air to right field in the first at-bat. He put some good swings on it. Happy to see him perform because he's a big part of what we're trying to accomplish. Wong is also glad to finally see the results. Ultimately, at this point in the season, he just wants to continue to get better. And that's where he's at. He wants to make sure that he's doing everything that he can for this Boston Red Sox team. He said you work so hard and you try and put good at-bats together, and sometimes you don't get the results. And it's like you went fishing and didn't catch anything and you thought you did everything right. So you just have to keep trusting it and keep working hard. So he's definitely trying to build off the momentum. But the question now becomes, is his roster spot in jeopardy because of the fact that they are going to likely put Carlos Narváez back in the lineup, and the Red Sox hadn't made a roster move for a catcher because they weren't exactly sure how to navigate that situation. And I don't think they wanted to give up on Connor Wong so easily, but they knew that they needed a backup plan. And Ali Sanchez is 28 years old and has spent the majority of his season with the Blue Jays AAA affiliate Buffalo Bisons, 54 games that he spent there, but he's appeared in 8 games with the major league club. He's batting .279 with a .766 OPS and 6 home runs at AAA. He logged 5 hits with 2 doubles with Toronto. Since debuting with the Mets in 2020, he's played 46 games at the MLB level. He spent all the 2022 and 2023 seasons in the minor leagues. And he ended up joining the 40-man roster ahead of the 3-game series with the Padres out west. But because he's out of options, meaning if he were to join the active 26-man roster, the Red Sox would be unable to send him down to AAA Worcester, and he would have to enter the waiver system again. But the question is going to be, do they want to replace Connor Wong with him for right now and send Wong down to AAA to get reps because they feel like that could be a better situation for him with how much he's been struggling? Or do they just release Sanchez and just let things go as they are? Because with a catcher going down with an injury, you do physically need another catcher on the active 26-man roster, because again, say Connor Wong also were to experience an injury, then you would need somebody to step in and catch. But because of the fact that there wasn't a roster move made and they didn't really seem adamant on sending Connor Wong down, my guess is that they will have Carlos Narváez be back on the roster again, and then they won't use Sanchez, and they'll continue to give Wong chances because Alex Cora seems to have faith in his ability to continue to turn things around. But the problem is, if they keep Wong around and he continues to struggle a lot, then they are going to have to go into the off season and evaluate the backup catching situation, because a lot of people thought they were going to acquire a backup catcher at the trade deadline, and it didn't happen. But because Connor Wong has been struggling as much as he has, it's going to leave the Red Sox basically no choice but to explore the catching market once the winter time comes to see if there's somebody that they could pick up that makes more sense for the Red Sox organization than where Connor Wong is at right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. Or they say, okay, we're going to send Wong to Worcester and we're going to use Sanchez as the backup catcher right now. That's definitely possible for the Red Sox, and that's something that we could see them do. But either way, they still know that Narváez is the number one catcher. He had been on a bit of a cold streak as of late, but you have to wonder if that injury and him feeling pain had anything to do with that. So hopefully he comes back fully soon, as in either today or tomorrow, or at least sometime this week, because he's definitely the catcher that the Red Sox see as the number one. So we'll have to see how the catching situation all plays out. Definitely an interesting and a bit dicey of a situation, but we'll find out sooner rather than later. And coming up, a stud Red Sox prospect made his AAA debut. What does that mean for the Red Sox moving forward? If you're really into sports betting, or even if you're not super into it and you're trying to get into it, FanDuel is 100% the place for you. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. You could win a ton of money on FanDuel. I promise you, you will not be disappointed with this app. Might as well start to get rich from betting on sports, because who wouldn't love that? So definitely make sure you download the app today. The Boston Red Sox may not have a deep farm system when it comes to pitching, but they certainly have some talent there. And there are pitching prospects that Red Sox fans can be a lot of excited about when it comes to their abilities to contribute at the major league level. And one of those pitchers is top pitching prospect Peyton Tolle, who recently got promoted to AAA Worcester for the Red Sox organization and made his AAA debut on Sunday. He's 22 years old, and he had a really short stint with the Portland Sea Dogs, logging just 6 games, 5 of those being starts with Portland. But the Southpaw was lights out against elevated competition, posting a 1.67 ERA and .0741 whip over 27 innings of work. During those 27 innings, he struck out 37 batters and walked just 7. He's ranked as Boston's top prospect by Sox prospect and MLB Pipeline's number 92 overall prospect. And he closed out his time with the Sea Dogs by striking out 6 batters and allowing just 1 hit over 4 innings of work against the Altoona curve. So he was excelling with AA, and it accelerated so quickly to the point where the Red Sox felt confident in promoting him to AAA. He was taken in the second round, number 50 overall, of the 2024 MLB draft out of TCU, and he's quickly risen through the ranks of Boston's farm system in what stands as his first full pro campaign. Ending the year in AAA stands as a positive development for Tolle, whose strong frame, 6'6", 250 pounds, and swing and miss stuff is a welcome addition to a prospect pipeline in desperate need of a power arm. He definitely is working on developing his slider, cutter, and changeup right now, but his fastball can reach 99 miles per hour. So that's something that he can find a lot of success with, is that put away pitch being the fastball, because it gets up to 99, and hopefully we see him continue to increase that velocity even more. So if he can just improve on those off-speed pitches a little bit more, he could be somebody who can be a huge contributor for this Boston Red Sox organization moving forward. There does stand a chance that he could log meaningful minutes for the Red Sox down the stretch run this season, potentially out of the bullpen. Even if he might be projected to be an innings-eating starter if he pans out in the big leagues, his limited reps this season and dynamic pitch arsenal could be harnessed this fall as a bullpen weapon if the Red Sox are in need of additional reinforcements on top of what they already have. When speaking to reporters on Sunday, Craig Breslow noted that the Red Sox might utilize a pair of other prospects in AAA pitchers David Sandlin and Connolly Early as potential bullpen additions this year. Both Sandlin and Early were promoted to Worcester last week. Basically, he said, I think the idea is to try and amass as much depth as we can, especially near Major League ready depth, because we know at this point it's a lot harder to transact and act. Even though Sandlin and Early are currently serving as starters with Worcester, Breslow said that their pitching repertoire can make them appealing relief options in 2025 for the Red Sox, just like Peyton Tolle. He said, I think we're at the point where any opportunity we have to bolster the team and give us a better chance to win, we've got to be open to it. And whether that's Sandlin, Early, both, neither, I think those are options. We'll take a look at the way that we think their repertoires could potentially play out of the pen. Sandlin is a guy that comes to mind in that it's really power stuff. And with maybe a simplified approach, we feel like he could come in and just kind of overwhelm hitters with the stuff. And those conversations are ongoing. Peyton Tolle has pitched really well in AA. Right before he was called to AAA, he said that. And he said, we feel like we've got options. Alex Cora also acknowledged that Peyton Tolle could be a player who could step into a big league role with the club in September if the right situation arose. Alex Cora feels that it's impressive that at 22 years old, he's reached AAA in his first pro season, and he's also open to a call-up. Alex Cora said, I don't know if we need a boost when he was talking about the bullpen. He said, we've got the second best bullpen in the big leagues. The guys have done an amazing job, but you never know what can happen as far as like injuries, people struggling in the upcoming weeks, and they put themselves on the radar. Honestly, I'm not watching too much. I'm just seeing the reports and seeing their stories, but they're good. We believe that they can contribute. Then we'll see what happens. So there's nothing really set in stone when it comes to Tolle or these other pitchers in the system that I mentioned. The Red Sox do have a strong bullpen, but it sounds like they're definitely keeping their options open. If Tolle is still working on the off-speed pitches anyway, he might be better off working out of the pen if he gets called up and only being responsible for having to pitch 1 to 2 innings. So that way then he can use his best pitches. And if he's still struggling with the other ones, he doesn't have to worry as much because he doesn't have to expand himself to pitch 5 or 6 innings in a game. So it sounds like if he were to get called up this year, it would be because the Red Sox need bullpen help, not rotation help. And he's somebody who they could maybe eventually work into the starting rotation if they feel like that's where he's best fit. In his Woo Sox debut on Sunday, he was victimized by a 6-run Buffalo first inning, but then tossed 4 scoreless in a 6-3 defeat. So he took a while to settle in, probably because the emotions were so high and it was his first start as a Woo Sox, so the nerves were definitely there. But once the nerves got out of the way, he was able to dominate the rest of his outing. And that's a really good sign that shows that initially he might feel the pressure, but that he's able to adapt. And that's the biggest thing when it comes to being successful at the major league level, is being able to adapt in those pressure situations. So it does show that if he does come out of the bullpen in the Red Sox stretch run here towards the end of the season, he could definitely be somebody who could try to put away and push to the side all of those emotions that could come with pitching in the postseason. So really good stuff from him. Fastball definitely plays as his best pitch. Just got to work on that off-speed stuff a little bit more, and he's golden, and he definitely could see time with the major league team. So we'll have to see how that goes, but I do appreciate you tuning into Locked On Red Sox and making it your first listen of every day. Make sure you next check out Locked On MLB Game Night, which is on Locked On MLB on YouTube or any other podcast platform. It's every game, every night, all season long. Our Locked On experts discussing what happened around the league. So make sure to check that out next as your second listen. And like I always do say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, and I will catch you on the flip side.